Beautiful. We are back, and it's time for us to now have a look at the newspapers. And we're going to be starting off with the Daily Nation. And the top story here is Things Fall Apart. That should be the title of a book. Just over 2 years into his tenure, President William Ruto is confronted with major crises affecting key sectors, with the 47 counties threatening to shut down their operations, citing a cash crunch. Critical sectors of education and healthcare are also in limbo following an unending lecturer strike that has paralyzed learning in public universities, as well as the chaos in the new Social Health Authority that has left patients stranded in hospitals. And this is a story covered on pages 4, 5, and also 6. And on the top page as well, Moi University inside multi-million shilling deals that anti-graft agency is investigating. So I see top officials at Moi University have been summoned for questioning today by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, detectives over alleged embezzlement of 2.2 billion shillings through fraudulent infrastructure projects. The senior officials on the radar of the EACC include Vice Chancellor Isaac Kosgei, Chief Accountant Egla Samoei, Head of Procurement Wilson Betts, and Head of Development Unit Moses Kipkulei. They are to present themselves for questioning at the Commission's Eldoret office. This is a story on the back page. Still on the top page, I see why Gachagua allies are avoiding all-out war against Kindiki. So camp of impeached DP has made a tactical retreat to sever the backing of the people that they enjoy. And still on the top page here on the athletics, Haile Gebrselassie shoe technology has revolutionized distance running. This is on page 29. And coming down to page 2 is why the rich are also crying in Nakuru's Ngata. And I see increasing land value has attracted powerful interest, with plot owners living in fear and under constant threat of dispossession. This is a story on page 2. And Peter Okiro, a lawyer here, saying inversions often involve unknown individuals who are acting on behalf of influential figures, including businessmen and politicians. Page 3, I see Kehio Mwiri owners waiting for title deeds 9 years later. And this is since the passing of the former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And it ordered the dissolution of the Kehio Mwiri land buying company in Murang'a County, which owed 1,285 acres. So the directive mandated that all 6,200 shareholders receive title deeds for free. So company's directors have either been murdered or have disappeared. This is a story on page 3. And indeed, it's a tragedy in itself. And moving on page 7, tough sanctions proposed for disobeying MP summons. We see Senator behind the bill says summons are critical in Parliament execution of its oversight role. So we have here 2 million shillings being the maximum fine that may be imposed on a person who fails to honor parliamentary summons. And this is a story covered on page 7. And we also have page 6, Treasury rules out extra 20 billion shillings for counties. So CS Mbadi says country's current economy is strained and cannot afford 400 billion shillings. This is even amid the threats to close down these counties. And I see while senators want the devolved units to receive 400 billion shillings, their counterparts in the National Assembly passed 380 billion shillings for the counties. So the National Assembly and the Senate are in standoff. So 20 billion has been ruled out, and governors have maintained move to reduce shareable revenue, which will impact service delivery in counties. And that's a story on page 6. And moving on, today in the DN2, we have a story here that is page 3, saying, understanding the minimum wage for house helps, what you need to know. All right. And I see here that employers who choose to pay below the minimum wage face significant legal risks. So the law is specifically designed to protect vulnerable workers who might feel pressure to accept unfair employment terms. The constitutional framework, particularly Articles 41, 10, and 27, establishes comprehensive protection for workers. All right, interesting here. And I see here that on the same we have the 2018 wage regulation provides specific minimum wage guidelines for house help workers in Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu are entitled to 13,572 shillings, while those in town councils receive 12,522 shillings with a minimum baseline of 7,240. And paying below the minimum wages could render your employment contract void. This is a story on page 3. And even for those who have house helps, then this is important information to note. And coming down to the international news this morning, I see Ukraine marks 1,000 days of war in frozen trenches, and thousands of Ukrainian citizens have died, and over 6 million live as refugees abroad. Very, very, very unfortunate. We keep praying for these nations, and thousands is a big number, with 6 million living as refugees abroad, scared for their lives. And page 21, I see Hamas to protect aid convoy. So fighters and other Gaza factions have now formed an armed force to prevent gangs pillaging relief vehicles. This is a story on page 21. Let's come down to the sports page. And the sports page today, Mashemeji Derby on Sunday, but where? So home team AFC Leopards indicate Nyayo Stadium, but not sure of availability of the government-owned facility. Gor Mahia and the arch rivals AFC Leopards are already gearing up for the eagerly anticipated Mashemeji Derby, the biggest club football fixture in Kenya. But where will it be staged? Page 30 is that story. Page 31, not playing at home cost us slot, says Exeter's captains. So Musa Otieno and James Situma reckon the Kenyan boys lacked the support they needed to take them across the line. This is a story on page 31. And that's it for the Daily Nation, just briefly. And coming down to the Standard, what is the top story? The top story here is no holds barred. So Nairobi Archbishop Philip Anyolo's rejection of more than 5 million shilling President William Ruto donated to the Soweto Catholic Church did not surprise those who know him. He once rejected a 4 million shilling car gift from Ruto because he did not know the motive. His smile and calm nature hide the character of a tough cleric guided by principles. This is so commendable. Definitely. And Philip Anyolo, Nairobi Archbishop, here saying clearly the church is called to uphold integrity by refusing contributions that may inadvertently compromise its independence or facilitate unjust enrichment. So political leaders are urged to demonstrate ethical leadership by addressing the pressing issues raised. And this definitely has sparked a lot of reactions online. And that's a story well covered on pages 4 and also 5. And still on the top page, learners stare at bleak future as strike rages on. A story on page 3, the lecturers strike right there. And I also see page 20, state promises 21,000 new overseas jobs. That's on the business page today. Still on the top page, Ruto cabinet deliver or pack your bags. So President Ruto yesterday warned ineffective members of his cabinet of sanctions should they fail to meet the expectations of Kenyans, even as they continue to lament over money that is not enough. Amend tax bill to tame living costs. So Kenyans voice their reservations on the bill during public participation. They have asked MPs to lower taxes that will help reduce the cost of living amid concern high taxation is spiraling out of control. Story on page 6. Let us get in to page 2 and see what is being reported. Pain and tears as veterans left in the cold after estate demolition. So shock, pain and tears as families left out in the cold after demolition. Some residents claim they have genuine title deeds to their houses, and this is a story covered on page 2. So purge against Gachagua allies starts at 300 workers sent home. Oh my, this is on page 2. And page 3, dawn strike spells uncertainty for varsity students. Let's look at that. Mary Wambui, who is a student here, is saying it feels like we're stuck in a limbo. We were supposed to graduate this year, but now everything is delayed. No classes, no exams, no clarity on when we will get back to normal. Very, very unfortunate. Let's pray for our students and that the lecturers will resolve their issues and get back to class. And let's come into the page 4 here. We have the Eve pullout, and I see Vimal, trust is crucial for growing your startup. And I see the Bidco Africa chairman says many entrepreneurs fail to scale up not putting the needs of their customers first. So if you would love some insights on how to scale up your business, that story, you can have a look at it on page 4 of the standard pullout. And coming down to the sports page, heartbreak for Rwanda after shocking Super Eagles. So Benin denied Rwanda an AFCON slot on head-to-head records after they both finished in 8 points. So Kenya draw against Namibia in last group match as Tanzania win to book AFCON slot. That's a story on the back page, the sports standard. And getting in, I see Misoi elated after winning Sydney race before elevation to a major. So he set the marathon course record at the Australian race in September, and the long distance star is hoping to return to Sydney next year. A story covered on page 30. Lastly, page 31, athletics is now suffering from effect of climate change. So Athletics Kenya President Jackson Tuwei is leading Kenya's delegation at COP29 in Baku. And that's it for the standard. And coming down lastly to the Business Daily, the top story here today, homes, churches overtake banks in T-bill holdings. So bank T-bills stock drops by 20.9%. And digital platform high returns attract others. Still on the top page on the court stories today, NYS scam suspect fails to reverse seizure of 35 million shillings. That's a story on page 2 of the Business Daily. And there is a feature today on the life pullout, meet the first female urologist in Kenya. This is a story on page 19. And there's a quote here by Nderitu Mureithi saying CBK's move to summon commercial bank CEOs to explain why they are lending at high rates is a red herring. This is a story on page 9. The back page today, how to transition Kenya's horticulture from air to sea freight. So there is a need to rethink logistics for the fresh produce export sector to build a robust cold chain infrastructure. A story on page 24. And Victor Franklin giving us the last word today. There are things which must cause you to lose your reason, or you have none to lose. All right, that's it for the Business Daily, the Daily Nation, and also the Standard. You can grab a copy of your favorite, but remember on our FM, that is at Hope FM 93.3 right here in Nairobi, we have news updates at the top of every hour, and also in combination, amazing shows from our wonderful presenters right here at Hope TV Kenya. DIRA is at 7 p.m. 9 p.m. we have News Watch, and you can get to be on the know even as we continue to pray for this nation, amazing nation of ours, and of course present it before the Lord. I believe God is working in the background. He is indeed working. And right about now, let us now have a look at the video of the day.